name's Kelly Anderson. I'm a professor and the chair of the Department of Film and Media Studies here at Hunter College. Emergent City is about something that happened in my neighborhood, Sunset Park, Brooklyn, when a global real estate conglomerate purchased a giant industrial site called Industry City and started to turn it into what they called an innovation district.
We're looking to establish the special Sunset Park Innovation District.
And this ignited a 10-year process in the neighborhood of people investigating what the impacts of this could be. The film follows that process over 10 years, and it's really a look at real estate, gentrification, land use, local democracy.
I've been working on that waterfront for 20 years.
The goal was to give people a front row seat to processes that are often invisible or underlooked at, and to get them to really think about power and the way that power operates, whether it's within the system, through the legislature, through community boards, or outside of the system with regular residents just activating for what they want their neighborhood to be. We wanted people to understand the processes better through which the city changes, and also to connect the dots and ask themselves important questions about their relationship to the city. I'm a Sunset Park resident, so I had a vested interest in understanding more deeply what was happening at Industry City. I also had a history of making films. I've made 2 other films about issues of housing, gentrification, land use, and so I was primed to be interested in the Industry City acquisition and what it might mean for the community. And it was a 10-year process of understanding more deeply what was going on there. You know, it wasn't like we started out knowing exactly what the film was going to say, because these issues are extremely complicated and are often presented in very binary black and white terms, and we wanted to really open up questions like, what is a community? What are the different interests in a community? Who articulates what positions? What are the different strategies that work for people who are trying to plan the future of their communities, especially in the face of these massive real estate investments? At a certain point, the council member, Carlos Menchaca, got very into the idea of transparency. He started telling the developer that he wouldn't meet with him unless the film crew could film it,
to help them understand why it makes sense to move.
And so that's how we got into those meetings, which I think really made the film a lot more appealing to a lot of people, because those just aren't meetings that you normally get to be at. So it has a feeling of sort of pulling back the curtain. There's multiple perspectives in the film, including the developer, the council member, different people in the community who felt very differently about the project. Letting people observe and sort of draw their own conclusions and ask their own questions felt very important, especially in this moment when we're facing so much polarization and divisions. And then these are shots from individual businesses in Sunset Park. I learned a lot making the film. Who knew there was a spring making manufacturer in Sunset Park? One of the messages of the film is that these areas that are zoned for industry, that they're precious in a way, because the film makes the argument that, the value of land is very tied to the uses that are permitted on that land. It's really important that the city's industrial zones be protected. A lot of people think industry doesn't exist in New York City anymore. That's not true. There's actually a lot of industry, and those zones need to be hospitable for small businesses. This is inside Industry City, the guitar manufacturer. This is a steel company. I wasn't particularly involved in the issues, but I did have a point of view. And the film was just broadcast on the PBS series POV, which stands for Point of View. It has an underpinning opinion, which is that people should have the ability to control what happens to the future of their neighborhoods and not just be displaced.
She's 90 years old. God forbid if she were to pass and they sell the house, where is my family going to go?
Over the past 15 years, particularly as the Bloomberg decade kind of wound down in New York City, I think people have become much more attuned to processes that maybe they didn't pay attention to previously, like zoning, like land use. I think that the population's gotten more literate. I think people are primed to say like, okay, a rezoning, what does this mean? You know, what are the details? Let me learn more. How can I either support this or push back against this or try to bend it so that it meets the needs of my community? So I think there's a lot more understanding on the part of the public.